thinking, man, why must I chase the cat?
Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. Tonight I am pleased to have with me Wayne Marcum Jr., who is a Reiki teacher. Wayne, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
For those who don't know and those who need a refresher or aren't sure or kind of know but don't know and aren't sure and all that, what is Reiki?
Reiki is a basic a laying on hands technique, which has been around for, since there's been people, and it's based out of Japan.
Okay, so it's a healing...
It's a healing energy. It's like a laying on hands when, people or animals are feeling under the weather, or they just had surgery, or they're just not feeling themselves. You could use it to...
Okay, so what kind of other things can we do with, what are the different types of Reiki? I know there's different types of Reiki as well.
Yes, they are. There's many different types. Some I don't really know a whole lot about, but the basic one is Utsui, which was founded by Dr. Utsui in Japan, and the one I teach is called Shambhala Reiki.
Okay.
And they're both basically the same thing. They have different symbols they use to energize people and to help them, and pets as well. And you learn it by finding a teacher to teach you the first degree, which is the basic one, where you could use Reiki on people and animals. You have to be present. And then there's a second degree Reiki, which allows you to do what we call distant Reiki healing. And then the last one is, of course, the teaching level, where you learn to teach others how to do Reiki.
Okay, and do you need to have any special qualities to be able to learn it and succeed?
Well, no, you just got to have an open mind.
Okay.
And realize that this is not based on your spiritual or religious beliefs. It's more like a universal energy. Mm-hmm. So whatever path you walk, you could use Reiki. Okay,
and what kind of experiences have you had, like, with animals? What have you been able to do? How can you help an animal with Reiki?
Well, I use it mostly when, like, I have to bring my pets to the vet. Mm-hmm. I'll use Reiki on them so they can calm down. They don't get all anxious and excited. And when you bring them home from going to the vet, it helps them heal quicker and be less agitated and excited about it. And it'd be good for if you adopt animals, mm-hmm. and they're not used to being in your home. You could use it on them to help calm them.
To help transition them into...
a new home or a new space, or if you're just... if you're a temporary home for...
a foster,
a foster home for animals, it'd be good to use for them, because...
Just to kind of like get them acclimated and decompress, as we say.
Right, and a lot of the stress... if animals get really stressed, they could get sick and they won't eat, and that will just help them calm down and make them feel like they're already at home.
And largely that would probably eliminate a lot of the behavior problems that people see when they first bring an animal into their home. So it probably wouldn't hurt in that case if there was multiple animals in the home to give them all just
give them all Reiki, especially if the animals are already in your home that have received Reiki. They would probably be more calm and more open to let other animals into their space.
Now, when you perform Reiki on a person or an animal, is it an immediate result? How does that?
With animals, I've seen some animals will freak out because they're not used to feeling that energy. Uh-huh. They'll look at you and like, how did you touch me? And others will come up to me and put their hand underneath my hand because they know they want to feel that. And people, as long as they're open to it, some people feel it immediately and they're surprised because, the pain and discomfort go immediately away. And sometimes if it's, a severe case, it might take a few healing sessions before they feel something.
And again, this will help emotional properties of people or animals, as well as physical.
Yes, it helps the physical as well as the emotional.
So if someone's having pinched nerves or back problems or like colds and stuff, will it do?
Yes, when I have a cold, I use it on myself and it helps me get through it quicker. You should see your doctor, your physician, or your veterinarian for your animal, and they will take care of the physical, mm-hmm. and the Reiki will take care of the energy.
Okay. So
which also helps with the physical.
Can you touch a little bit more on the energy? Is a person going to feel anything when...
Some people do feel something. Like when I had my first initiation, I didn't feel anything. Mm-hmm. A couple days later, I started feeling a little weird. Okay. But other people feel it immediately. So it all depends on how you react with the energy itself. Depends, it depends per person how they feel it or how they interact with it.
And when you say energy, can you describe it?
It's like a universal energy. When I use it, I get really warm, my hands get really hot, and I could feel the energy flowing into the other person.
So can you feel like if a person has a pain, can you feel it like if you were?
I can feel where there's like a discomfort they have. I can't really describe the specific pain, but I could feel where, I should go. You feel the tug and the movement of the energy and where it has to go. And a lot of times I'll go over there, I'm like, oh, I don't know why I'm over here, but then the person will tell me, oh, I had, hip surgery there,
right.
and it's sore, and I just knew to go right there.
So it's really about being in tune with energy.
That's why you get an attunement from someone who's a teacher, so you become attuned to the energy, and as long as you're open about it when you use it, and just let Reiki guide you to where it needs to go.
And how do you learn it? I mean, you're a teacher, so like if you were going to teach, I mean, how do you, see, this to me is like all very interesting. Like, how do you tap into someone's energies?
We all have the ability to tap into energy. I mean, by nature, we manipulate energy. When you start your car or where you have heat or air conditioning in your house, you're manipulating energy. And this is just manipulating energy personally. And we use symbols and through your chakras, which are the energy centers of your body, we do an attunement from a teacher to a student, and once we do the attunement, you are attuned to first degree.
Now, when you say symbols, what do you mean by symbols?
There's Reiki symbols that we use to attune your chakras to Reiki, and depending on what level and what symbols we use, we put them into your chakras, which will help you attune to the Reiki energy.
Okay. I'm not going to say you lost me, but tell me more.
I don't know how to tell you more without having the actual symbols, but we have symbols like we have one called Chokure, which is just an energy amplifier.
Okay. So, symbols kind of like if someone's familiar with runes, like symbols like that?
Like Norse runes.
Okay.
Or even when you go, when you're driving down the road, you could see a symbol like the yellow triangle, it means to yield.
Right. Okay.
Same thing. These symbols have certain meanings to them, and once you get attuned to them, you know how the energy that they represent.
Okay. And so you use them sort of like as your guidance, or? Right,
you use them as a guide, and you could use them for other people. And it's really intuitive, so as long as you're open to it, you will learn a lot by hands-on.
All right, so probably not everybody is cut out to either perform Reiki or to receive Reiki.
No, I mean, not everybody feels the calling to it. I mean, if it doesn't seem like something someone would do, I wouldn't suggest them to spend the time to go and learn it if they're not going to,
But you have to have a sort of an openness, and a willingness and an interest, of course.
Yes, to help others, to help animals, to help yourself.
What are some of the experiences you've had with animals?
My personal experiences is my daughter's cat was very sick, and I used Reiki on her when I was bringing her to the vet, and she actually started purring and started relaxing. We ended up losing her because she had a chronic liver disorder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But that just showed me how her in such pain and distress that she was calm enough and felt safe enough to actually start purring.
And you don't have to have a relationship with the subject.
No, you don't.
You can Reiki a stranger.
You could, but they have to be open to it. I mean, animals are more open to it. I mean, I could go into my backyard and use Reiki, and animals will come towards me, like squirrels will come towards me because they can feel the energy coming up.
Okay.
I've done my friends' pets, even if they don't live in the same town, they call me up saying, hey, my pet's acting kind of weird, and I can send Reiki to them, and they'll even say the next day, I'll get a text message, wow, I don't know what you did, but my dog's just feeling so much more calm and feeling a lot better.
That's very cool. Back to settling animals in. I know we were talking about like the settling into the homes and stuff like that. What are your thoughts if an animal has aggression issues? A lot of these animals that get adopted they're dog selective, or they don't like other dogs.
As long as you have
that something that might help?
Yeah, if you have someone that has a trained in behavior, and you use Reiki on the animal, it will help them be more well-behaved and help them assimilate into the group a lot quicker. But Reiki helps with, if it's an emotional issue, it would help. But if it's a learned issue due to humans teaching them something, abuse, then you need someone who is trained to change that, their programming, so to speak.
Of course. So if it's an aggressive behavior because of fear or
and emotional, they feel fear because they're just don't know what's going on, then that would help them. But if they were abused or neglected, then you need a person to help,
get further into the foundation of it.
Train them and show them.
Okay. So again, we were talking about the different levels of being able to perform Reiki. The basic level, you said, is just it's
first degree.
Hands-on.
Hands-on. You could use it when you take your attunement. You can immediately start using it on your family, on your pets. My students always go home and they start using it on their pets, and they say something. Sometimes their cats will run away from them and look at them like,
like someone poked them with something
right,
hot.
and they don't know. And it's like across the room you could do it, and they're looking at you like, how did you do that? And other ones will come, and you're doing stuff, you're watching TV, and they'll come get in your lap and start rubbing, pushing their head into your hands because they know that's where they feel the energy from.
And how long does it take? What are the steps to be that first level?
It just takes them to come down, and it takes about an hour of their time.
Really, that's all?
That's all. And they could go home and start using it immediately on their pets.
Wow, and for someone in rescue who deals with a lot of animals, that's probably not a bad thing. Someone who's going into the shelters all the time, someone who's fostering, just to have that skill, just to go in there and try to give some of these animals some peace.
Yeah.
I think that's probably something that would be a gift for someone who understood it and could do it, because a lot of the animals in shelters, they're just a hot mess because
they're all
don't want to be
stressed out.
there. Yep.
They're uncomfortable and they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And
they're not home. They're not on a couch. They're not getting the love that they should get. So, really, that's probably a gift that a lot of people could put to good use in a shelter environment.
Yeah, and if you find a teacher that you want to learn with, make sure that they have the proper certification. When you get your first degree attunement, you will get a certification from your teacher.
So there is paper certification?
Yeah, there's a paper certification that states that you have gotten your first degree or second or your teacher's level. And make sure that they have that in the type of tradition that you want to take. People can go on Google and look at all different traditions and see which one they feel more comfortable, taking.
Are there big differences between the two?
Not that I know of. It's more of technique and what symbols you use. Some traditions use different symbols than others. So it all depends on...
But the result is still all the same.
It's all the same thing. It just, symbolism is a little bit different.
And that's really it?
That's really it.
So if somebody wanted to pursue the Reiki a little further, the second level is, you said, when you can actually do it from a distance?
Yes, that is distance healing. Like if you have relatives that live in another state, you could do distant healing towards them. And that's for second degree.
And what does that entail?
The same thing.
To be able to achieve that?
Another attunement for the second degree. It takes a little bit longer because it's a little bit more intense. And then after that, you'll be able to do second degree Reiki. And the same thing with teacher. That takes a couple hours to do because it's very intense. But after that, you'll be able to teach other people how to do Reiki.
That's really neat. And I'm still loving the idea of the thought of going to the shelters.
Yeah, and you can just put it out there and, see the difference in the animal.
Or just being at the adoption events, where you have the animals there and just,
And animals are really open to the energy.
Yeah, they don't have the mindset that people would have, like,
right,
this hokey stuff and,
Right, they don't have the predetermined, I can't do that or I can't accept that. They're animals, so they're more in tune with the energy.
And unlike some of, you have your different types of medicines where, and I'm not knocking medicine, you have to actually take something, you have to actually follow a procedure, you have to, sometimes it's all based on your beliefs too.
Yep.
But with the energy, it's like no risk. It's no side effects. It's
no, because if the person doesn't want the energy, it will go to where it's needed.
Okay.
So if the person that you're sending it to don't want it, but their pet does, then the pet will receive it.
Yeah, see, that's kind of cool. That's like almost like firing a laser.
Yeah, something like
there,
that. You're just putting out the energy, but people have free will. They could take it if they want. If they don't, then it'll go to where it's needed.
Because I had somebody, and I found this very interesting. I threw my back out not too long ago, and someone that I know on Facebook was sending me Reiki from wherever she was. And she told me something very interesting. She said she did what she could, but I was blocked because I was angry, and she felt the blockage. And until I wasn't so angry, that it just wasn't all going to go away. What say you about that?
Well, yes, our emotions really...
I'm an angry person.
Well, no, it's just like if you get angry, some people get really angry, they get like muscle spasms, or, if we get nervous, we start showing physical signs of our emotions. Tense, we get muscle spasms,
Sure.
So, yeah, it does, your emotional state does affect your physical.
And your ability to heal.
Yeah, and your ability to heal.
Yeah, that's, she kind of like, I was like, wow, because I was angry about some certain circumstances that I did not discuss. So it kind of blew me away that she would say that to me.
No, well, she felt the energy. When she was trying to give it, she felt it being blocked by something.
So that probably makes her really good, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I was really amazed by that because I never said anything. There were certain I was even angry that I threw my back out.
Yeah, she didn't know why you were angry because,
No.
It has nothing to do with being
yeah, it's not being telepathic.
or psychic. It's more of feeling the energy. Okay, this is blocked. Why? Okay, because I feel that angry energy there, so.
And it was funny because I had one side that was worse, and she told me it was that side. So, I mean, it's really, to me, that was amazing. So that made me, I never was a disbeliever or an unbeliever.
Right,
but
people
that
don't
just
realize
blew me away.
When the more you use it, the more in tune you become with it, and the more you'll sense from other people and even animals that, they're uncomfortable, and you can tell people, oh, why is your animal's back hurting? And they said, oh, they have, arthritis in their hips all the time. And,
Right.
you don't know that, but you could just sense that there's something wrong with the energy there.
So for older dogs, too, that have arthritis, like my poor guys, they're 12, they're big boys, so it's hard on their bodies.
Yeah.
And I watch them, I don't want to say struggle in a way like it's cruel, but they show signs of their age. So Reiki could help them be more comfortable.
Yeah. Let them get around a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, you have animals all their lives, and then you watch them go into that decline of old age, and it breaks your heart. You want to do something for them.
Yeah, this will help you do
So,
something for them.
For people who are in a similar situation, it could help.
It would help.
It would help. I think that's really cool, to know that there are other alternatives. I mean, yes, going to your vet is a very important step.
Yep.
Following advice is diet, the whole bit. You don't want to take a life-threatening situation and say, oh, I'm going to do Reiki on it, because you could miss your chance to make things medically better.
Yep.
But as far as the energy and the comfort level of an animal, you can do a lot with that, from what you're saying.
Yes, you can.
Which, I think that's something that people should be open to. And again, I'm going to go back, I'm loving the idea of going through a shelter and just, helping these guys out. Because, a lot of times, the energy that they build up too, it puts people off.
Yes.
You go into a shelter and the animals are all bouncing off the walls and
or they're
jumping
just sitting there aggressive, or they just don't. People get that sense, especially if you have children with you, they'll just say, I don't want that dog or cat, because they just don't.
Or there's too much energy there, that dog's too active. If you can give them a little Reiki before they meet an adopter.
Yeah, it helps calm them down, and that way the adopter can see the real personality of the animal.
Yeah, and I was just saying, it becomes the real dog, it's not false advertising at that point.
No.
It's actually, the false advertising is the animal bouncing off the walls.
Yeah.
Until they settle in. And I'm just loving that. I'm sorry. I gotta keep going back to that, because I'm envisioning it in my head, just all the experience that I've had in the shelters, and seeing that these dogs aren't getting homes because they are so wound up.
Or they're aggressive, or they're just hiding in a corner because they're so afraid.
If you are the advanced level, you could actually do it from a distance if you know that a dog is having that problem where people are coming. You don't even have to go and lay your hands on them.
No, if a person that you know works at the shelter, they could give you a call and say, hey, we have this new dog and we're having people come in to look. Can you do a little Reiki for him? And you could send them some Reiki to help him calm down.
Now, when you perform the Reiki on someone, is it like a forever thing? Does it need to be done on a regular basis? Or does that depend on what you're doing the Reiki for?
Depends on what you're doing the Reiki for, and also depends on the person.
Okay.
We have a lot of bad habits, so...
No.
Yeah. If you have a bad shoulder or, bad back, then there's certain things that you really shouldn't do. So if you go and you do those, then, you're going to...
Yeah, you're going to keep aggravating it.
Yeah. If you've got bad joints, you keep on picking stuff up that are heavy, then, you're going to re-aggravate it. But if you're, a Reiki practitioner and you do what you're supposed to do, and you use Reiki on yourself as well, you don't have to worry about the pain and discomfort.
And that's what I was going to go back to that too. You can do it on yourself.
Yes, I do it on myself all the time. If I'm at work and I'm starting to get sore muscles, I'll take a 5-minute break and use some Reiki on myself.
And would you say in most cases it's as effective if you do it on yourself, or is it more effective if someone else does?
There's certain areas that I can't reach.
Yeah.
I can send the Reiki there, but I feel that if it's really sore, I can't put my hands behind my back. So sometimes it's helpful to have somebody who can stand behind you and reach all the places you can't.
Okay, that's really, really very cool to me. So you are actually going to be doing speaking at a lecture.
Yes.
Coming up, and that is being sponsored by the Cat Knowledge Academy.
Yep.
And that's going to be in Middlebury. And I already did share that on my Pound Posse Presents page. So if anybody wants to attend that, the information is there, and you will be there, and they can speak to you.
Yes.
And find out a little more, and maybe ask questions that I haven't asked, because I'm trying to ask.
Yeah.
I'm trying, folks.
Yeah, if they have any questions, I could show them. I have a store that I operate out of, and if they live, a good distance away, they could look online for Reiki practitioners in their area and find someone that's closer by.
Yeah, and it's it seems to be that there's a lot more people who are aware of it and who are practicing it now. Personally, I became aware of it through a coworker, I want to say in 2000. And, it was like you kind of heard of it, but you didn't really know.
Well, even hospitals now are starting to have Reiki volunteers come in.
Really?
To help out, help people that are in the hospital after they have surgery.
Wow. So it really has become much more of an accepted practice.
Yes.
So it's hopeful. It'll keep you in business.
Yeah, it is hopeful.
Keep you going. So if somebody wanted to contact you, we've got a few minutes left. If somebody wanted to contact you, have an email or a website or a Facebook page?
They could contact me through my email, which is wmarcumjr@yahoo.com. And as long as they put in the subject, Reiki for pets or Reiki, teaching or something that I know,
Yeah, it's not just anybody.
Spam. I get, spam from people I don't know. I just have a tendency to delete it.
Yeah, we get spam all the time, and
Or if they're in the Plainville area, they could stop by. Apples, Brooms, and Cauldrons is the store that I operate out of.
Okay, and so what would your closing statements be to anybody who was still skeptical about using it on animals or even for themselves?
Well, if they could go, or they had pets and they wanted to bring it to a Reiki practitioner, then they could see the difference in their animals. That's when you really see it.
It's like seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing. When you have an animal that's older and it's harder getting around, and you bring it, and someone who does Reiki, and you see the next day how much easier they're getting up out of their beds and walking around. You could see it.
Yeah.
Working.
And again, it's not for training issues, it's not for behavior issues.
No, as
far as training goes, as pertained to, because behavior is learned, behavior is taught, behavior is fixed, and behavior is broken.
Yeah, and if you didn't have teach the animal any kind of behavior, then they don't know how they're supposed to act.
And you're not going to Reiki it into them. You're not going to Reiki a puppy into being potty trained.
No, you have to show the dog where to go and what to do.
That's on you folks.
Right.
Basic training
The
is on
Reiki
you.
would help with the training, because if the dog feels fear or apprehension with the training, then it would help calm them down and help them focus.
So what about if you're going to take your dog out for a walk and your dog is really hyper and he's a nightmare on the leash and he pulls and goes, you could calm him down a little bit before you go out?
Yeah, well, if you have the proper training, then, you know, as long as the dog is trained first, because that will help 90% of those problems. But if, you know, he hasn't been out in a while and he wants to go out and run around, then yeah, that could help him calm down
and focus on training.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, if you've, obviously nothing is going to take the place of the exercise.
No.
And getting it out of their system, and the zoomies, as we call it. But, you know, once you want to get into that calm down, now we're going to work on the walk, or we're going to work on training while we're out, you can actually probably Reiki them a little bit and calm them down just the same way.
Right, so that way when you do train them how to interact with other animals, interact with people, they'll be more focused and calm.
And they'll be more receptive. I'm just, as I sit here, I'm trying to think, and it's like coming to me like just the different scenarios where maybe it'll help, and not just as far as like illness or being uneasy, but just like every day. Some dogs get sick in the car. So maybe just calm them down a little bit.
Well, just like people, they have motion sickness.
Yeah. Oh, I have one of those. You can dress them up, but you can't take them out.
Yep.
Not unless you want a handful of vomit. And I've been there and done that. But that might be something where you could just like calm them down a little bit beforehand.
Yep. And
get in the car and maybe not need the blankets and the towels and the paper towels and the cleanup and aisle 8, you know?
Yep.
Can anybody here think of anything else that might an animal?
Well, you can also use them on plants as well.
Really?
Yeah, anything living. I mean, if you have plants that are, you know, feeling a little under the weather in your house, you could use the Reiki on them as well.
Really?
To give them a little boost.
Starting to lose a plant or something, you kind of bring it back.
You could bring it back to life, bring it back to, you know, if you don't really have a green thumb.
Okay. Well, we've got our credits, so we're going to say goodnight. And I'm going to blindside you like I do everybody else. Do this with me. Peace, love, and dogs. Thank you very much, Wayne. Good night, everybody.